Good afternoon. Today we are going to present the financial statements analysis of Public Bank BERHAD and MYNEWS Holding BERHAD. First, abstract and introduction. Abstract. The purpose of this project is to analyze the financial statements from Public Bank BERHAD and MYNEWS Holding BERHAD. Then we use the result to compare the performance between companies. We use Microsoft Excel 2020 to do analysis such as horizontal analysis, vertical analysis, and ratio analysis. The financial statements are downloaded from the website of Person Malaysia. Next, introduction for Public Bank BERHAD. Public Bank BERHAD is a bank that engaging in consumer banking, retail commercial lending, and private unit trust businesses. It also provides deposit products such as saving deposit, current deposit, fixed deposit, and gold investment accounts. Furthermore, Public Bank provides Islamic banking such as share broking, trustee services, nominee services, and unit trust fund sales. There is also some investment products and services, for example, structured product, investment and share trading. Additionally, it offers cash management services such as account management, collection, and payment services. Next, introduction for MYNEWS Holding BERHAD. MYNEWS Holding BERHAD is an investment holding BERHAD that is engaging in print media and retail convenience businesses in Malaysia. It's also involved in money changing activities, research and development, packaging, distribution software, as well as provision of implementation, maintenance, and technical services relating to its software. In addition, the company manufactures and sells ready-to-eat meals and bakery products, as well as operates food and beverage restaurants.
Good morning, I am Leong Joon, and now we will present the Part 3.0 Data and Methodology. We will discuss the analysis for Public Bank BERHAD first. For Public Bank BERHAD, we conducted horizontal analysis for Statement of Financial Position and Statement of Profit or Loss for year 2017 to 2020. We attached the Microsoft Excel file in our final project folder. Besides that, we also conducted vertical analysis for Statement of Financial Position and Statement of Profit or Loss for year 2017 to 2020. The Excel file is also included in the final project folder. Now we will look at the ratio analysis for Public Bank BERHAD. We conducted liquidity ratio, solvency ratio, and also profitability ratio. For liquidity ratio, we did working capital and current ratio. For solvency ratio, we did debt ratio, debt equity ratio, and interest coverage ratio. For profitability ratio, we did net profit margin, return on asset, return on equity, and earning per share. Now we will look at the liquidity ratio. Let's start with the working capital. Working capital can be obtained by subtract current liability from current asset. By using this formula, we counted working capital for 4 years. For current ratio, the formula is current asset divided by current liability. By using this formula, we can obtain current ratio for 4 years. For solvency ratio, let's start with the debt ratio. Debt ratio can be obtained from divide total liability from total asset. By using this formula, we can obtain debt ratio for 4 years.
Good morning. Now I will continue for solvency ratios and profitability ratios for Public Bank BERHAD. First, we will look at the debt-equity ratios, which can be obtained when we divide the total liabilities by the total equities. By using this formula, we can obtain the debt-equity ratio for 4 years. Now, let us look at the interest coverage ratio. The interest coverage ratio can be obtained by dividing the operating profit by the interest expense. By using this formula, we can obtain the interest coverage ratio for 4 years. Now, we will focus on the profitability ratios. The net profit margin can be obtained when we divide the net profit by the operating revenue and times with 100%. By using this formula, we can obtain the net profit margin for 4 years. Now let us look at the return on assets. The return on assets can be obtained when we divide the net profit by the average total assets and times with 100%. By using this formula, we can obtain the net return on assets for 4 years. Next is the return on equity. The return on equity can be obtained when we divide the difference between the net profit and the preference dividends by the average equity and times with 100%. And for your information, the Public Bank BERHAD did not issue any preferred stock, so we just let it be blank. And using this formula, we can obtain the net return on equity for 4 years. Now we will look at the earnings per share. The formula for the earnings per share is the difference between the net profit and the preference dividends divided by the weighted average number of ordinary shares outstanding times with 100%. By using this formula, we can obtain the net earnings per share for 4 years. Now we will continue to MYNEWS Holding Berhad.
Good morning. I'm Nicholas SENG, and now we will continue to present the part 3.0 data and methodology. Now we will discuss the analysis from MYNEWS Holdings Berhad. For MYNEWS Holdings Berhad, we conducted horizontal analysis for statement of financial position and statement of profit or loss for year 2017 to 2020. We attached the Microsoft Excel file in our final project folder. Besides that, we also conducted vertical analysis for statement of financial position and statement of profit or loss for year 2017 to 2020. The Excel file is also included in the final project folder. Now we will look at the ratio analysis of MYNEWS Holdings Berhad. We conducted liquidity ratios, solvency ratios, and profitability ratios. For liquidity ratios, we did working capital, current ratio, and inventory turnover. For solvency ratios, we did debt ratio, debt equity ratio, and interest coverage ratio. For profitability ratios, we did net profit margin, return on assets, return on equity, and earnings per share. Now, we will look at the liquidity ratios. Let's start with working capital. Working capital can be obtained by subtract current liabilities from current assets. By using this formula, we counted working capital for 4 years. For current ratios, the formula is current assets divided by current liabilities. By using this formula, we can obtain current ratio for 4 years. For inventory turnover, the formula is cost of goods sold divided by average inventory. By using this formula, we can obtain inventory turnover for 4 years consecutively. Solvency ratios, let's start from debt ratio. Debt ratio can be obtained from dividing total liabilities from total assets. By using this formula, we can obtain debt ratio for 4 years. Now I will hand the presentation to Su Ying. Thank you.
Good morning, my name is Su Yi. Now we will look at the debt equity ratio. This is a formula for debt equity ratio, which is the total liabilities divided by total equity. Next, we look at the interest coverage ratio. The lower the interest coverage ratio, the higher the company's debt burden and the greater the possibility of the company's bankruptcy. So here is the formula for calculating interest coverage ratio. Now we will move on the profitability ratios. Net profit margin provides the final picture of how profitable a company is after all expenses, including the interest and taxes, have been taken into account. Here I have shown the calculation of net profit margin. Besides, return on assets give investors an idea of how effective the company is in converting the money it invests into net income. The higher the return on asset, the better, because the company is earning more money on less investment. Here I have shown the formula of return on assets. Next, we focus on return on equity. Return on equity is a measurement of how effectively a business uses equity or the money contributed by its stockholders and cumulative retained profits to produce income. Here is the formula for return on equity. Lastly, we will look at earnings per share. Earnings per share is also a calculation that shows how profitable a company is on a shareholder basis. So here is the formula for earnings per share. That's all from me. I will pass the presentation to my teammates. Thank you.
I am Chong Ling and I will continue with the presentation on 4.0 results and discussion on between and within company. Ratio analysis. They are liquidity ratio, solvency ratio, and profitability ratio. Liquidity ratio is the ability of company to meet the near-term obligations like working capital, current ratio, and inventory ratio. Solvency ratio is known as leverage ratios, which is used by investors to get measure how well a company can deal with its long-term financial obligations. Examples of solvency ratio are debt ratio, debt equity ratio, and interest coverage ratio. Profitability ratio is used to determine the company's bottom line. Examples of profitability ratio are net profit ratio, return on asset, return on equity, and earning per share. Liquidity ratio. From the table, MYNEWS company has the highest ability to repay its short-term obligations in 2017, which is 5.2. It shows a decreasing trend for the current ratio.
At the same time, the company shows good sales performance in 2017 due to its high inventory turnover. From the table also, Public Bank has the highest ability to repay its short-term obligations in 2020, which is 1.140, while Public Bank achieved the lowest ability to repay its short-term obligations in 2017. Solvency ratio. From the table, MYNEWS company has the lowest debt ratio, which is 0.1663 in 2017, which implies that the company experienced a more stable business on that year, while the highest overall debt in 2020. At the same time, the company has the lowest debt equity ratio in 2017, which means the company experienced the most stable business in the year. From the table, Public Bank has the lowest debt ratio and debt equity ratio in 2020, which means Public Bank experienced the most stable business in the year and less chances of failure in 2018 due to its low interest coverage ratio.
Now we look on the profitability ratio within the company. The MYNEWS company has achieved the lowest net profit margin, which is negative 3.25% in 2020. This means that the company earning less than its expenditure in 2020. It also shows a positive return on assets in 2020 and means that the company is earning more money in less investment. However, a negative return on equity in 2017 has indicated that the shareholders are losing. While the company also achieved the highest earning per share on 2018, which implies that the MYNEWS company has the highest profit on that year. Now we look on the profitability ratio for the Public Bank. The Public Bank has achieved the lowest net profit margin and return on assets in 2020. This refers to the less stable financial condition. The company also achieved the highest return on equity, which is 16.216% on 2020. This indicates that the company were using its investor funds effectively. The company also achieved the lowest profit in 2020 as it has the lowest earning per share in that year. Now, we also compare the ratio analysis between the company. First is about the liquidity ratio. The average current ratio of MYNEWS company is 2.7xx, while the Public Bank is only 1.134. Hence, the MYNEWS company is more liquid than the Public Bank. The second one is about the solvency ratio between the company. The Public Bank has a comparatively higher debt portion relative to assets and equity than the MYNEWS. This indicates that the Public Bank has experienced a less stable business. However, for the interest coverage ratio, the MYNEWS company is higher than the Public Bank, which indicates that the MYNEWS has the more chances of failure and facing the bankruptcy. Then, we also compare the profitability ratio between the company by seeing on the ranking in terms of profitability and performance and the ranking in terms of market performance. The Public Bank has the highest net profit margin and return on the equity, hence it has the better earning capability against its equity. However, the MYNEWS has the highest return on assets, and this means that the MYNEWS company has the better firm asset utilization to earn and show that it is doing a great job by using its assets to generate the sales. For the average of earning per share for the Public Bank is 119.275, which is more higher than the MYNEWS company that is only 2.18. Hence, the Public Bank has a better market performance than the MYNEWS company.
Next, conclusion. The analysis of financial statements is considered as a crucial step for a listed company because there is a lot of information that can be obtained from the analysis. Various types of analysis can be used to analyze a company. The results from the analysis are also used to compare with competitors and making economic decisions. For example, investors use the current ratio, debt ratio, net profit margin, return on equity, and earning per share to decide whether or not to invest in Public Bank BERHAD. Banks also use these results to filter out whether the company is qualified for obtaining a loan. In conclusion, we can be better understanding the companies from seeing the results of financial statement analysis. It determines the company's health condition, profitability, and growth, so it is absolutely and cannot be ignored. So that's all for our presentation. Thank you.